got you more. The facts should hide and the shattered soul lays there next to us. Are you alive or just breathing? Is it living when you're dreaming? I'll be gone and come only leave a note. Are you alive or just breathing? Does God know it when you're kneeling? 'Cause when I'm gone, I hope you can say grace. I hope you can say grace. Dead asleep, you're seeing shadows. Avengers awake under your pillow. I sense your feet crawling down your back, and the haunting bats in the shade of black. I lay there next to her. Are you alive or just breathing? Is it living when you're dreaming? I'll be gone and come only leave a note. Are you alive or just breathing? Does God know it when you're kneeling? 'Cause when I'm gone, I hope you can see ghosts. I hope you can see ghosts. You made up all my darkest days. You're the one that left me wide awake. I'm not afraid.
Welcome to the CSL playoffs. We are here in the round of 64B lower bracket best of 3 matchup between Rutgers Varsity and DePaul Junior Varsity. Both of these teams have made it to the CSL playoffs, but have suffered losses in the upper side of the bracket, and now this is an elimination game. Team that loses here goes home. That's the end of their CSL season. The team that wins gets to continue on in the lower bracket
I
to...
mean, necessarily they're already at home, so
yeah, everybody's already at home, but you know the idea of it. Here today, we will be your casters. I am Dennis. With me is Dan.
Hello.
Say hi, Dan.
Hello.
And we'll be getting into draft for game number 1 very soon. For game number 1, DePaul JV will be on the blue side, with, I believe, Calderan top, Lovelace jungle, Agistair mid, Smurf God, 80 carry, and the Limester support.
The Limester.
And then on the other side, for Rutgers Varsity on the red side, you have Lil top, Decipher jungle, Rem mid, Transact ADC, and I Am Nice Guy support, as always. So, yeah, we're about to get into this one. As I mentioned before, both of these teams did lose in the upper bracket. Rutgers to Tufts and DePaul to Johns Hopkins.
I think that's the right.
I'm pretty sure I am correct there.
But long story short, both of the Rutgers teams are in the lower bracket at the moment, so it's a little bit concerning being in the position.
It's a bit concerning.
That early.
I mean, so the way a double elimination bracket works, if you're not super familiar with it, is that mathematically it gets a lot harder to get further when you're in the lower bracket earlier, because you have to play more games. And the reason for that is that on the winner's side of the bracket, every time there is a set of games, half of the teams are eliminated. But on the lower side of the bracket, half of the teams are eliminated each round from the lower bracket, but also a bunch of teams come from the upper bracket down to the lower bracket. So it ends up being a lot more games you will have to play in lower bracket the earlier you're in lower bracket.
And-
which makes losers runs very difficult.
and it
But we
looks
are
like
into draft.
Yep.
That's a Narban.
That is a Narban right off the
I think
table.
that's lame.
Especially with Narbans is probably going to come in a lot more often because we are playing on patch 11.5. So, in case you aren't familiar, they did buff the Stride Breaker, and that is a very popular item on that Gnar. So
Yeah,
like, DePaul
Gnar has been
do not
fairly
want to deal with
popular.
it.
I'm just surprised to see it as a response to Liltop because I have not seen a lot of priority from it from Liltop. You usually see the Camille. Generally, a lot of those split push picks, or even stuff like the Lilia, the Ornn, some more conventional picks. I'm surprised to see Focus there. The Anivia ban is not too surprising. That's Agister's solo main, has hundreds of games on it this season alone. Not at all surprised to see that ban. The Alistar,
I'm surprised the Senna. I'm very surprised at that. The
I'm
Alistar is a
surprised
little bit
that-
understandable, but the Senna...
I can understand it. At the same time, I think I Am Nice Guy's pool is deep enough where you don't need to get rid of the Alistar unless you really don't like the matchup against something.
I
Kind of
don't know,
interesting
but the-
bans all around.
Ooh, wow. And
There's a
immediate-
Seraphine, who was nerfed on this patch, but still a priority pick for a lot of teams.
They only toned down the damage from her passive, so all the healing utilities still the same.
Yep. And there is Hecarim first pick. Hecarim ends up being like kind of a priority first pick for a lot of teams, or like round one red side, just because he is such a good pick, but he's something that you usually don't really see a whole lot of need to ban out. So it just ends up being a, hey, everybody's comfortable on Hecarim. Hecarim's been meta for years.
But they
So just
benefit
make-
from
Oh,
they benefit
yeah,
from
that's
the
what I like
Hecarim
to
a
see.
lot since the we all know Decipher likes to play that. So
It might just be the
It could
Decipher
be- it
Lilia,
could just
but
be a
it's a
deny
flex
pick.
pick. It is a flex pick.
that definitely
Keep
is a
your
flex
eyes out.
pick. Lilia top lane. We've
Keep
seen
your
some.
eyes out. This
we've
could be a
seen-
flex pick. I
Yep.
believe Decipher played it jungle last week against Missouri Baptist, if I'm not mistaken. If
That
I'm
would
not
be 2
remembering
weeks
wrong.
ago, but yes, he did play to
Was
Lilia.
that 2 weeks ago? Jeez.
Yeah, last week they went against Tufts.
Oh yeah. How did I forget that?
We didn't even cast that game.
Anyway.
So
Yeah, I know. Anyways, Ezreal locked in on the other end.
surprised they
there.
didn't go for the Kaisa first. Maybe Rem.
I'm
isn't-
also kind of surprised, but maybe they do just like the composition with Ezreal, have the Lilia forward and the Ezreal kind of back, and maybe as well as that they
Yep,
like. The
I
matchup
expected that
between
Shen pick. I
Ezreal.
should have pointed that out earlier. If there's a Hecarim, there's a high chance that a Shen will pop up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and Shen also works very well with Kaisa. Get an extra shield on top of that ultimate shield, can get a lot of bonus effective health on that
A
Kaisa
lot of
for the.
professional teams have been abusing that Hecarim Shen combo, so not
Mhm.
surprised to see it pop up here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just see how Rutgers
Overall,
has to
not too
respond.
surprising, but no support pick for either team so far, and that'll be Ornn. Sad to see Liltop not on the Lilia, but still, I think the Ornn is a good pickup. I think it's solid into Shen. Generally, it's difficult to match Shen early on to the game because he will just leave and go fight someone else. So you might as well just take something that is great in the late game, like Ornn, that premier late game tank, and just say, okay, we're going to be slapping at each other in the early game and not a whole lot is going to happen. And in the late game, we're going to be supporting our teammates. So overall, that top lane matchup is not going to matter a whole lot, but these two top laners will provide a ton to their teams.
Alright, and looks like right now both Rutgers and DePaul going to go at it with the support bands, the Bard and the Lulu getting off the table.
I mean, that's what happens when both teams do jungle ADC top as their first rotation picks, is that you kind of want to get supports off the board. It's a lot easier to ban out supports than it is mid laners. Orianna's a good mid laner to ban out because she is such a safe pick. That kind of signals to me that Rutgers might want to pick support here and save the mid lane counter pick for last, which I think makes more sense. A lot of teams have been opting more towards that. Oh,
Whoa,
okay. I
that
guess,
is... oh, they're gonna
okay,
flex pick
this
that.
is options.
They can flex
This is
that. They can
options.
flex that.
It's flexible. I don't dislike this pick. Galio is flexible. It does leave the team with not a ton of damage, because Ezreal
we
does
don't
a
know
lot
that
of
yet.
damage.
We do not know that
Yeah,
yet.
we'll wait. If this is
keep
a
in
mid lane,
mind,
so
Rem's Tristana mid lane is still available.
it is. That is absolutely true. I would like to see that actually.
It might be likely, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you keep saying that Rutgers currently lacking damage, so
I was
why
also
not buff up
going
that
to say
damage
on
with the
top of
Tristana?
that- Yeah, and I was going to say on top of that the top side of the map is really AP heavy. If it is the Tristana mid, I would be happy to see that, as it would split the damage a lot more on the top side. And I like I Am Nice Guy's Galio well enough.
We've seen it pop up several times now.
Morgana
Rutgers-
support though, that'll make things a little difficult for a Galio to get in on anything, and it's even more protection for the Kaisa. So a lot of support for that Kaisa, as well as a Victor pick that provides plenty of damage by itself and is a fairly safe pick. I
Now it
think.
seems like Rutgers are deciding if they should go through with that Tristana mid lane.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We've only
Yone is
got a
also an
couple seconds
option.
left.
Yone is also an
Yone
AD
is an
option
option.
for Rem as well.
Does
So
preside.
we'll see
provide
what they
some
go
solid
through with.
damage.
What? Oh, so Galio mid lane and a Trundle. Wait, that should not be.
Thinking.
Are you
Orange
sure?
Support?
They're not saying anything. They're not saying
Orange
anything
support?
about it.
Orange support. Orange support.
It's likely.
Lilia
but
top. Trundle jungle. Galio mid. Eh?
That is likely, but I don't know what's happening.
We'll wait on it.
Yeah,
Doesn't look like the
Rutgers
players are
aren't saying anything. They're going through with the
signaling
Trundle.
that anything is wrong. I think that Trundle has to be a jungle pick. Decipher has been playing a bit of it lately, if I'm not mistaken.
There's no way it's Lilia top lane.
I think it's Lilia
It's
top
Lilia. It
lane.
has to be Lilia top lane. Trundle jungle or in the mid lane. Ezreal Galio in the bot lane. That's probably what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're seeing the Lilia top.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm very excited to see Lilia top.
This is revolutionary. We haven't seen.
It is a throwback. We have not seen this since the days. Like, I'm pretty sure that he's just not been allowed to play it since, or at least he's not opened up the champion picks for it since the tryouts. If you remember that.
I remember.
I don't think I've
he-
seen him play it
he's
since
pulled
then,
it out.
which is
No,
absolutely ridiculous.
I know Will
I
Top
don't think
has-
that.
I know. I remember there was one game where Will Top did play that Lilia top lane. I think it was into a Kayn.
I think you're right.
It was into a Kayn top lane, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right, actually. I think you're right. But even then, like, DePaul might just not know about this hidden technology that Lil Top has at his disposal. It does look like the Ornn, though. That's interesting. Is that Trundle support then? I don't like that as much. I'll be
Damn.
completely honest with you. I'm not as big of a fan of Trundle support.
It's seemingly like it's likely that Trundle is going to go support,
I guess I can
Unless-
see that. I don't.
unless there is some hidden
I guess it.
technique,
Thinking.
tactic.
Because I understand why
Okay, so it is Trundle
Trundle-
support.
it is Trundle support. That's disappointing. I like Lilia top.
But into a Morgana,
We do
I
this
don't
every
know.
time, is we just like pop off over the idea of Lilia top.
But I don't know. I'm not a fan of that Trundle pick into the Morgana.
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
that.
not-
I think
it's
that's
just
one
not
of the big
appealing.
things is that Trundle is so low range, and even unlike something like a Galio, it does not have a way to engage.
But like,
I don't really
I
see a way
guess I can
for-
see where Rutgers was going with this pick for the Trundle. They're not playing for the lane; they're playing for the game overall. Especially when there's a Hecarim that could run rampant around. If you legit, I mean, Hecarim does less damage if he's slow. The slower he is, the less damage he does. So
That's
I'm pretty sure what
true.
Rutgers was thinking. What if we just get someone that can slow the Hecarim down so much that he doesn't do any damage?
That's definitely true. I think there are other picks that could have worked here, and I don't think that because the Trundle isn't horrendous necessarily. I just don't see. I understand what it brings to the table. I just wish it brought more to the table because
true.
there are plenty of champions that could just stun Hecarim instead. Plenty of supports that were still on the board that could do that. You could have something like Thresh that could flay him away. Blitzcrank that could make picks onto the big targets. A Leona is still available. Like, I think that there are plenty of picks that would have been fine. And the problem with this lane for me is that Ezreal Trundle doesn't do much. Oh, wait. Technology.
What's happening?
Hold on. They're doing...
Oh, wait, I
They're
see
doing
it.
the trickery. They're doing the trickery.
There's
Is
no
that
way.
Lilia mid, actually?
There's no way that's Lilia
There's
mid.
no way it's Lilia mid, actually. That's awesome. If it
Oh
is
my
Lilia
God,
mid,
is
I'll
Rem
be
going to-
incredibly excited. I have never seen
Through.
this technology
Oh, 1
before.
second left. Alright, so it's Lilia
That's
mid
it.
lane.
That's it. That's
I've
Rem on Lilia
never,
mid. Okay.
I've never
I
seen
was
that
looking
before.
away. I was looking at my other screen, just saying, yeah, looking at the draft, all that. Lilia mid
I've
technology.
never seen this in my life before.
This is like witnessing the birth of a
New meta.
legend. The new meta. I'll be honest, I don't think Lilia mid is going to become the new meta. I am very excited to see what's going to happen.
I'm a
with
little
it
concerned
because,
into the Victor.
I mean,
as a
so
Lilia.
here, going away from all the hype, here's my issue with Lilia mid. The thing about Lilia is that she can provide a lot for your team when she is able to do things at the low to mid range. And the reason why it works in the jungle is because jungle monsters can't hit you at the long range, and then you have other teammates to hit at long range so that the Lilia kind of can pepper in other things and kind of start moving in the middle of fights. Top lane, the reason why it works is because most top laners don't have the range to stop Lilia, and the very long lane of top lane lets you build up those Qs, lets you run faster and faster, and even win 1v1s in that side lane because you have all of that pressure there. Mid lane, I don't get what it does, because the lane's a lot shorter, you have a lot less to work with, and your opponent is much more likely, and in this case, your opponent is guaranteed to be longer range than you, so you kind of just get poked off of minions. I mean, it won't be a huge issue, because Q is still a great minion farming tool, and the W and E also farm minions pretty well. It's not a horrible time for the Lilia. It's just, maybe it'll be a push and roam pick, where you kind of stack your Q on the wave, build up a bunch of stacks of the movement speed, and then after you've pushed the entire wave down, you just sprint to another lane, and you get there so much faster than anyone would be able to respond. But even still, it's like, I might as well just be watching Lilia top, and like and that's why I was thinking, because I like Galio mid, I like Ornn support well enough. Ornn support's not a great pick, but I think it's fine for what it does. It's low on XP compared to like top lane Ornn, but I think if they had just gone with Galio mid, Lilia top, Ornn support, I would have been equally fine. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have game number 1 of this best of 3 series, so don't go anywhere. And welcome everybody to game number 1 of this best of 3 lower bracket series between DePaul JV on the blue side and Rutgers Varsity on the red. The loser of this series, remember, is eliminated from the CSL playoffs. The winner will continue on in the loser's bracket. Getting into this game number 1, we've been looking at this Lilia mid that Rem has decided to pick this game. I didn't see this one coming. I don't think any of us did.
None of us saw this coming.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
And so yeah, we see the Dark Harvest now. Not especially surprising. I like the Dark Harvest on Lilia in general. I will be looking to see some of that aggression from Rem though, because I think the Lilia needs to get ahead at some point in time. I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm still trying to figure out what the Lilia
think
does.
Of ways how this Lilia is going to be able to, like, I guess step 1 is to survive the winning phase, because we all know Victor has a decent amount of range. So,
ooh, extra 10 gold. That'll do
10
it.
Gold.
It does actually provide a little bit of XP as well, which could help hit level 2 at an earlier point. That could be reasonably important, actually. But overall, the 10 gold's not that important. Both junglers are going to start on their red side, so they'll end up on opposite side of the maps, probably trade scuttles. I don't expect to see any ganks too early in this one, because Trundle and Hecarim are not the best pre-6 gankers in the world. And yeah, you can see there, Rem was able to push the wave fairly well, but did take a lot of damage coming off the back of it.
Yeah, he does hit level 2 really quickly, like you said, from that 15 XP from the ward. So, does try to go for a little bit of a trade, does manage to even it out somehow. But this
you can see he's gone for the corrupting potion plus the biscuits to try to keep the health
I was just about to point that out.
Yeah. So it's definitely very important that this Lilia stays okay on health, because Ajay is going to be doing so much damage.
The thing about it, this Lilia, combined with the passive, can just literally just leave lane, go for a very deep ward, and then come back and pretty much lose almost nothing in terms of CS and experience.
Yeah, when you build up the passive and you just get the big running speed.
Running speed.
The running speed. And we've been talking about this Lilia a lot. We haven't talked a whole lot about the other lanes. The orange Shen is not too weird of a lane right now. I'm not looking at it to have anything important happen. I think they're just gonna sit there and be Ornn and Shen.
Yeah, they're gonna be two tanks whacking at each other.
Yeah, basically.
It's gonna be a wet noodle fight.
Yeah. I think the bottom lane could be pretty interesting, I'll be honest. You can see so far that Transact and I Am Nice Guy have a little bit of a push down here, but not a lot. They're not really going too far. They've gotten a little bit of value. They lost one minion there, but
it's good to push that out like that, and now they're gonna seize the push.
Yeah, the problem is
they just wanted Decipher to get the Scuttle Crab. I'm assuming that's what's happening here.
Yeah, part of the problem here is they don't have a lot of AoE, so Smurf God's Q is going to end up being more and more important as this goes forward.
So Lovelace has been spotted in the mid lane, but Decipher has already went for the reset, so he could look for an opportunity in the top lane. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, a little bit of trading happening. So far, so even. And now we'll see what Decipher does with this slight early game advantage. For now.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll do anything. A lot of this Rutgers team comp seems to be more suited for later game fights against this team in particular. So we might just be waiting a while before Rutgers is able to do much of anything.
So some early buys have come through in the mid lane. Both these mid laners have opted for a... Actually, Lilia has gone for the Doran's Ring. Meanwhile, the Victor has opted for the Tear of the Goddess. So we'll see. But now there's a mid lane... not a mid lane. There's a bot lane gank happening right about now. Lovelace trying to do what he can. He does have the Ghost, but there's the Black Shield to keep I Am Nice Guy from preventing any taunts. But I Am Nice Guy will be able to run out to safety. No summoners have been used.
Yep, good presence of mind for Rutgers not to burn anything too important there, knowing that they could just walk it out. Also smart by DePaul not to force that play harder than they needed to, because they definitely could have gotten first blooded under
But they
that
do get the
tower
job
if they
done.
decided
They
to.
do force Rutgers' bot lane out of their lane. They're
Yep.
forced to recall, and now they're going to get a free dragon for themselves.
That is true. The dragon will be pretty notable. Early dragon lead is always nice. A couple of minions in the bottom lane are also pretty nice to get that advantage for them.
So that
Looks like
dragon
they
does
might
go
be
down.
going in for a fight, though.
Yeah, Ram does have level 6. He does have the sleep available. Limester might be gonna have to use the flash. There it is. The blast cone will get Lovelace out to safety, and Ram going to hold on to his ultimate.
Yep, definitely dangerous, though. And that is the first summoner spell of the game burned, that flash for Limester. Gonna have to play a little bit safer in that bottom lane, maybe, but still has the black shield all the time, so shouldn't be too in danger of anything.
Ooh, Ram has spotted
untoward.
Lovelace with that ward in that raptor pit.
Yep.
So they get
Again.
a little information.
Mm-hmm.
So far, nothing too huge has happened other than the dragon take, and now Decipher going to go for the mid lane gank. Rem is going to get the flash out of this, just there, and there's a Trundle Cone for good measure, I guess.
Yeah, flash for ultimate's not a horrible trade. Smart by Agister to put down the gravity field in order to stop Rutgers from actually doing anything there. There wasn't really a whole lot of room for these melee champions to move forward, and remember, this Rutgers team is very melee. Only the Ezreal is not. So some of that zone control could be huge as this game goes forward, trying to control where Rutgers can go, and especially where Rem can go as one of the few damage dealers on this team. We kind of mentioned it a little bit before, but to go into it a little more now, in terms of consistent damage, Ezreal is the best that Rutgers has. The mid laner is Lilia, which is very low range. Definitely has the opportunity to put out damage, but is very low range and not super consistent as the game goes forward. Here's a bit of a fight.
But then
though.
if you
I
look,
don't think it's
if you
important.
look at the comp, Rutgers, they may lack a little bit of damage, but they have so many ways that they can engage, so...
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's definitely true.
if one engage doesn't go well, then there's always another option. If Lil Top doesn't land the Ornn ultimate somehow, there's always Ram to follow up with the E. And now there's a bit of a heavy trading coming in the top lane. Lil Top is getting chunked very low. Calderon's going as well, but the flash is going to be used by Lil Top. And there, the flash is too late for Calderon. He should have flashed that much earlier, but that's going to be first blood over in the top lane.
Yep, and that's the thing that you always have to look out for. And one of the big things about this tank v tank matchup, as I will get cut off by this.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a bit of a gank coming in the bot lane. Both bot laners of DePaul are very low. Limester going to go down first. Smurf God set to fall, but the Stand United will save him for a little bit longer, but it's not enough time as Smurf God will go down as well. Lovelace might go for an engage here, but it's a 1v4 right now. Victor showing up the bot lane. Now he's going to use the ultimate. He's going to take that I'm Nice guy. Lovelace going to get one kill for the cost of, I believe, 2 members of DePaul.
Yep, that's a 1 for 2 down there in the bottom lane. Smart play by Rutgers, actually, identifying that since Calderon is dead, none of the globals can actually come through at that moment. So they knew they had at least a couple of seconds to set up that play that they had already been preparing. A couple seconds to execute that play, at least, where they knew that they would have the numbers advantage. Lil Top didn't even need to come down. I don't think that it would have been better if Lil Top came down and made it a 5-man stack in the bottom side. Maybe they would have picked up 1 or 2 more, but I think the way that they did it was perfectly fine, and it keeps the teleport advantage so Lil Top can just go back to the rest of the map, while Calderon is actually going to be at the summoner spell disadvantage for a bit. Or the global disadvantage for a bit, which usually you don't see with Shen.
Alright, now let's dying down a little bit. Now the Herald is seeming to be the main focus, but first the Scuttle Crab. Lovelace is going to jump in on Rem. The Drowsy is going to come down very early, and we'll see if Lovelace will get bursted down here. He has no ultimate, he has no ghost, he's just set to go down, but the nice gravity field coming out of Agistair is going to stun them, everyone from Rutgers up, and now everyone on Rutgers needs to run for the hills. Lots of low health bars. Liltop probably going to fall. The laser will tag him, and that's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of DePaul.
Yeah, and there is that issue with the Rutgers team comp. Rem has all the damage, and even Rem doesn't have a ton of damage. Decipher not putting out any damage there. Liltop not putting out any damage there. Rem stunned up for a lot of the fight. There really wasn't anything going back to the way of DePaul, so DePaul could just be sitting there the entire time, just whacking on whoever they wanted to. Yeah, a bit of a rough one there for Rutgers. You definitely don't want to see that. The Rift Herald actually wasn't taken on the back of it, most likely because Lovelace died in the middle of it. Even still, I want to see a little bit cleaner out of Rutgers. They do not have a composition that can necessarily scrap like that at this point of the game against this team comp. As the game goes later, I want to see more team fights with Transact in them. I think that would make things a lot better for Rutgers if Transact was involved, if they can have that consistent damage. Transact does appear, speaking of Transact, I guess, and oh, yeah, there's a Dragon Take for Rutgers, which is nice.
I'll point that out.
Infernal
so there,
Rift.
Yep, Infernal Rift going to be in play. We'll see how that'll affect the game a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of like it for Rutgers a little bit more, because tagging people with the Ezreal Qs, giving those AoE is really nice. I was going to say about Transact that does appear to be going for the Essence Reaver build with the Manamune, maybe the Duskblade after it. Duskblade's been the very popular pick there as the mythic for Ezreal.
Yep, the mythic. Probably going to be something along the lines of a Duskblade, so
Is
gonna give him extra
a lot
vitality.
of stuff. Yeah. A lot of stuff wasn't necessarily made for him, but
Rem's
yeah.
getting chunked
and you can
down
see
a
Rem's
lot.
just taking a lot of damage here, and even though I am nice guys here, Decipher is here, there's not a whole lot to do. That was good.
He's gonna pick a fight on Lovelace. The Galley ultimate's gonna come down, Stand United, and the Hecarim ultimate coming down. A lot of ultimates used by both sides, actually. It's gonna be
not a huge loss for either side because so many ultimates were burned by each of them. Rutgers ended up getting the positioning advantage where they'll kind of control that jungle area a little bit better and the Scuttle Crab. But as he said, a lot of ultimates burned for both teams and some building going on. Sunfire actually finished for Liltop, which hasn't necessarily been the most popular tank mythic. I've seen a bit more of Frozen Fist for Ornn in particular, but maybe in this tank v tank matchup you just want to see more damage against the tank. Just want to get some of that long-term damage up. Maybe they expect these fights to go a little bit longer with so many tanks on each team and so few damage dealers overall. So layering a little extra damage is not too big of a deal, I think.
And Rutgers gets a little spike in damage. The Leandry's Torment has been finished for Rem.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty big, I think, by itself.
Is it the Leandry's Torment?
Yes.
Anguish. It's Anguish.
Anguish. Oh yeah, they changed the name of it. Yeah, I think that's a pretty big deal. You definitely want Rem to be dealing that extra AoE, or not the AoE, the extra damage over time.
Ooh, Transact.
But even still, I'm worried about it. The Essence Reaver is also
putting the Essence Reaver in. Yeah, Transact's using using the Essence Reaver quite well. Rem is going to be jumped up by Agistair. Agistair, really well spaced. Gonna dodge all the Qs, but the Swirling Seed will connect. But now there's a dive in the bot lane. Lives are taking a lot of damage, but the turret's gonna do a lot of work. Smurf God will be able to take down the Galio as Rem going to flash into the Raptor camp. And now Calderan somehow makes his way into the bot lane. Somehow he uses the teleport, and now he's just gonna get burned down.
Yeah, and that's a lot going on there in that matchup. There is still Lovelace coming down, but overall, a lot gained for Rutgers. Little Top might also get first turret up here as I think everyone's out. Yeah, I think everybody's out there. And yeah, I think that was a good engage down in the bottom lane for Rutgers. I didn't exactly see how it got started off, but they've done a good job at pushing these lanes forward, making sure that there's been a lot of CS denied. I mean, there's already a 40 CS difference down in that bottom lane, and
Oh, Lovelace. He does have
Lovelace
the
in
ultimate.
trouble.
So he should be able to get out. Doesn't even use the ultimate.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily needed there, so smart to hold on to it, but always scary. It's always scary when that happens. Calderon has opted for the Frozen Fist, which I mentioned. Is it called the Frozen Fist now? I thought it got... Oh, it's the Frostfire Gauntlet. The Frozen Fist was the Ornn upgrade, which, as a side note, Ornn upgrades, we're going to be seeing them reasonably soon come into play.
Ooh, so the
As Little Top has just kind of been sitting on the sideline the whole time.
Cypher has gotten the Gore Drinker online, so we'll see a Trundle with the Gore Drinker, so never seen this before.
Yeah,
We'd
I don't
always
know about
assume
that
it would
one.
be like a Triforce or a Sunder, maybe.
I when I saw the Iron Spike whip, I thought it was going to be a Stride Breaker, honestly.
Stridebreaker is also a valid option. Now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
partly because it's been buffed recently, and partly because, like, Trundle is kind of slow and has some trouble getting in on opponents. If you just take the Stride Breaker, you say, hey, I'm going to jump on you now. I understand it well enough. Maybe the Gore Drinker is expecting a chaotic fight where it can get a lot of value, but
Ooh,
I kind of
looks
just
like they
like
get
the Stride Breaker.
Rutgers does get a dragon. That's gonna put down a lot of damage, but looks like DePaul want to make a call to get on this Herald. But everyone from Rutgers is already making their way up there. So it's gonna force DePaul off into the Herald pit. And now it's Rutgers' turn on the Baron. On the not the Baron, the Herald. Now Calderon, he's gonna get jumped up, he's gonna get stunned up. The taunt is there, the sleep is there, but Lovelace is going to be there to stop any further action from Rutgers. And now looks like Rutgers does end up taking the Herald for themselves. Thank you for the leash, says Rutgers, as Lovelace going to try to go for an ult here. I'm nice guy, he's going to get run down, but the taunt and the slow is there. The flash Q from the Morgana will miss. Nice dodge mechanics coming from I'm nice guy, and that'll make a very successful disengage. I cannot talk today, oh my god.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that Rutgers has done really well this game, while the champions themselves have not been very strong and Rutgers hasn't fared fantastic in fights, they've always done a really good job at having the numbers advantage wherever they are, which is really hard given that you're facing up against a Shen and both teams have the same number of teleports, but Rutgers has just done a good job moving around the map, making sure like they had an advantage at Dragon. And then at Herald, they had 2 members there, enough to cover, and then they moved all 5 up to Herald, where they had coverage on the bottom side, and just having all of those champions moving around in a very impressive way, and now they've gotten 4 towers off the back of it. I think the map movement has been a big difference in this game on why Rutgers is winning by 6k gold, even though it really hasn't felt like that the entire game.
Yeah, Rutgers in a very comfortable spot, as Dennis had mentioned, from all the towers and objectives being taken. And now Baron will be up in a minute, so we'll see how Rutgers will prioritize that. Will they go for it at the 20-minute mark? Will they maybe wait a little bit?
His team count can't really take Baron.
That is definitely true.
They ain't got no
Since,
damage.
Rem and Transact are the only ones. Maybe if they had the Kaisa, that 20-minute Baron could have been possible, but unfortunately, they do have the Ezreal.
I mean, that's the thing. They'll have to prevent the Baron. They'll have to definitely have presence around the Baron to make sure that Smurf God is not able to take it. But I don't think that Rutgers themselves can really force it down. I think that they want to just wait on the dragons and make sure that they have control over that Infernal Soul, because that's a much easier objective for them to have control over. I think they also want to wait until Transact finishes the Muramana, which will be in a couple more ability uses. Which, once that happens, Transact will be incredibly strong with all the items that are completed there. The Essence Reaver, which does ton of extra damage, and the Manamune, which also does a ton of extra damage with these hits. Essence Reaver shots.
Oh,
Boom.
Transact.
Like
He's
that.
gonna go ham. He's gonna use the True Shot Barrage as well. Limester gonna get taken down. What was that Q? And now Iron Ice Guy is gonna be there to back him up. With Transact, he's just going at it. Mystic shots one after the other. And Transact, he's not stopping. Agister is gonna be the one who has to stop it. And Transact, what was that?
That was before the Muramana was even finished. That was just flat out the damage from those items, and just incredible accuracy on the Qs from Transact. Incredible job landing them onto the necessary targets. What a play.
Oh,
My
and he
goodness.
takes away this Grump.
It's mine. I think he deserves that Gromp right there. What a play, and that's what you need to see out of Transact. 4-0-1, this is the carry of the team. This is necessary that Transact is
Uh-oh.
getting ahead.
Rem in a lot of trouble. He's able to outrun him, the flash for flash. But Rem does have the passive, and he's just gonna literally run away.
Yeah, the movement speed from Lilia is really important to be able to get out of anything too chaotic. It's fast deer. I was about to say horse, but that is not a horse, that is a deer. Cypher.
Saving it for Ezreal, I think.
Either saving it for Ezreal or waiting on the timer to get a little bit better of a timer out of it. It might just be saving it for
It might
Ezreal,
just be
though.
for a timer.
Nah, it's a timer.
It's a timer.
And Transact with the double buffs now. This is the Transact show now. Everyone else is just here to support one member. And when that Duskblade is finished, that's going to be even more damage, even more scary.
Oh, Rem
potential.
is out of position, but who's out of position? Really? Oh my god, Limester just gets absolutely blown up. Transact going in, going for the double kill right now as the front line of DePaul, they're just getting kited away. They don't even have their own damage dealer anymore. Decipher going to get the third, the fourth set to fall, and Decipher just get absolutely ripped apart.
Yep. And that was a huge play by Rutgers Esports. And the problem there is that DePaul has two tanks, but neither of them were covering the carries. The carries were the carries plus Limester, who is a very squishy target, as you can see, just getting absolutely blown up, because that is what an Enchanter support does. They need to be behind the tanks because that's what the tanks are for. The tanks are to cover the front side. But when the tanks are off to the side of the fight, trying to prepare some sort of flank, both of them, then Rutgers can just say, we found your carries, and just shoot them down with that gigantic Ezreal, who is now 6-0-2, 3 items completed. Now, it has become very bad for DePaul. I'll say that. It's gotten really bad. The
That is
Baron's
the
been
simplest way
taken,
to
so
say
now
it.
they're going to get sieged in. Infernal Soul is very close for Rutgers, which is a horrible condition for DePaul, as that is even more damage for the Ezreal. This is going worse and worse for DePaul as this game gets further and further, and it's a good job by Rutgers getting to this point where they have such a strong Ezreal to cover everything for them.
10k gold advantage plus a Baron, and now Lovelace is going to get slowed down by this cone, but the phase rush does let him pass. So that's going to be a small fight happening in the jungle, but now we'll see how Rutgers are going to utilize this Baron buff. They're going to try to get all 3 lanes pushed at the same time. And now Smurf God, he's in a lot of trouble. The slow, it's too much.
Finished it off with the Gore Drinker. That's what you have to recognize.
Yeah, now they're just gonna run down this mid lane Hecker. I'm gonna have to use the ultimate as a safety mechanic, but he just gets burns down by the Swirl Seed. Now Limester, he's gonna get taken down by the autos coming out of Transact. A double kill for him. Can he get the triple here? We'll see. That's a lot of damage. There's triple kill, quadra kill up in the top lane for Transact. We'll see if he'll greed for the quadra, or will we just get the inhib? They're gonna get they're gonna try to end the game. They don't want to throw this game away. And it looks like Rutgers are set to win this game number 1. First Nexus Tower going to go down. The second one on deck. And now Calderon, the only one to defend, as Smurf God actually will respawn. And now that's going to be a quadra kill going over to Transact. Will it be an unofficial pentakill? Oh, just barely. Not yet. There's the unofficial pentakill. Unofficial hexakill even. And now the Nexus will fall. Game 1 going over to Rutgers in a very dominant fashion.
Yep, and what a smart way for Rutgers to play the game. They were pretty slow for a lot of the game. They played it pretty calmly, pretty carefully, not a whole lot going on in the early game, and then they find their advantage. They get Transact just a couple of kills. Transact says, okay, here's my damage. Here's when my damage comes online. And as soon as they find the tiniest window, they just burst it open, and there is nothing that DePaul can do about it. I'm going to say that I don't find the draft to be that great for Rutgers. I definitely have my issues with this draft, regardless of how this game turned out. But definitely fantastic on the execution. Seeing that Ezreal, seeing when Transact got ahead, and just pushing that lead until they won the game. And that's 12-0-3 for Transact.
Yeah, 12-0. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. And even then, like, I think 6 of those kills, as you mentioned, were just in that last fight. Like, as soon as they found Transact had a huge advantage, they just killed everyone with him. Like, it was incredible how much they pushed such a small advantage into a victory.
And with the average game time going a little bit longer than what it used to be a couple seasons ago, sub 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That is unbelievably fast in this season in terms of like the average game times.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was that Rutgers got the Baron and they ended the game. Like, it's as simple as that. They found their spot, their timing for Baron, and they just said, okay, game's done. We win. Goodbye.
On to the next one.
On to the next one.
That.
Exactly. And I think we will go on to the next one. So we will take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have game number 2 and see if Rutgers can wrap up this best of 3 series. So don't go anywhere.
It's been a roller coaster, but you stayed. And now I'm taking over for the day. 'Cause I can be what you wanna be. And I can feel but you lie for me. Take me to a place I'm calling for. Open up the doors I'm knocking on. Oh, I'm losing control. Be the one to leave my fantasy. Show you crave your hands all over me. No, I'll never let go. 'Cause now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for you. 'Cause now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for you. And I'm losing my mind for the days. 'Cause you and I will never fade. And I could be what you wanna be. And I can feel but you lie for me. Take me to a place I'm calling for. Open up the doors I'm knocking on. No, I'm losing control. Be the one to leave my fantasy. Show you crave your hands all over me. No, I'll never let go. 'Cause now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for love. Cause now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for you. 'Cause now I'm falling for love. Now I'm falling for you. 'Cause now I'm falling for love.
And welcome back. we are here for game number 2 of this CSL Best of 3 series between Rutgers, now on the red side, and DePaul. Or, sorry, I got that mixed up. Rutgers, who is now on the blue side, and DePaul now on the red. Rutgers took a 1-0 lead after a very fast ending to that last game, coming off of a huge performance from Transact on the Ezreal. I am Dennis. With me, as always, is Dan.
Hello.
Dan,
Welcome
what do you think that DePaul needs to switch up? And what, if anything, do you think Rutgers might need to switch up? I
feel
might
like
take a look at that Lilia mid.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that Lilia mid. I mean, it did its job. It definitely did. Somehow survive the laning phase with not too much repercussions. And I don't know. On the side of Rutgers, they seem to have gotten their late game down. It's just the early game to the mid game was a little bit concerning. Like, it was very like half and half. Like, is Rutgers damage dealers going to do enough damage in order for them to win the game, or are they just gonna fall back and end up not being able to do enough damage and just losing the game outright? And on the side of, I guess, DePaul, I feel like their concern was just like, the concern for them is just moving around the map, essentially, because you kept saying that Rutgers always had the man advantage in many situations. I mean, but then again, in the early game, DePaul did have that really good early game gank in the bot lane that allowed them to get the first dragon. But then after that, they seemed to like lose control. Like, they didn't after that, they didn't have any objective advantages, they didn't have any vision advantages, and finally, not even a man advantage. And I feel like that was like their main reason for their pitfall.
Yeah, I totally agree. They definitely had a lot of issues as the game went on, mostly in terms of the macro. That's the word I was looking for. The macro play, the map play. They were not finding advantages around the map. They were not finding the neutral objectives. I don't think they found, after that first dragon, I don't think they got a neutral objective. And I don't know. I think they will need to improve on that a lot in this game, and that's one of the things that is going to be especially difficult to improve upon in the middle of a best of 3 series. While Rutgers, they could pick better team comp this time. We will be getting into draft very soon. Again, Rutgers leading 1-0 in this series is now on the blue side, DePaul on the red. The loser of this series is eliminated from the CSL playoffs. The winner will move on to the round of 32 losers side. It's a difficult road ahead of whichever team ends up winning this, but
it is one step closer.
It is one step closer as well.
And speaking of one step closer, we're getting one step closer into this game as the draft will begin.
That was a good one, Dan.
Thank you. We're going to get the Sen out of the way first.
Yep. That was banned last game by Rutgers. Not the first ban. Last game, the first ban was Anivia. I think the Anivia has to be on the ban board as well this game, and it was just the wrong order of things, potentially.
But now,
maybe
we'll see.
Swapping up the order.
Okay,
That's surprising.
So the bans are relatively the same?
So far, they have both been first
They've been banned in game
banned
1.
last time.
There's the Seraphine.
I have to think the Anivia is going off the board as well, and they're just doing them out of order because that's the same as last time.
Unless they leave the Anivia open and they try to go for some kind of counter pick.
They could. I think just getting the Anivia off the board is better. They showed last game that, well, there's the Ezreal.
So they did not like the Ezreal at all.
I wouldn't have liked it either if I was DePaul. I would not have liked looking at that Ezreal either. I think, and where I was going a moment ago was that I think in the last game it was shown that Victor, while competent, while Ajister played a pretty solid Victor game, it wasn't anything that was going to turn the game around completely.
And they get rid of the Hecarim, so that does leave the Anivia open. Now the question is, do they counter pick it or do they take it?
Does Rem play Anivia?
Not that we know of.
Second question, does Rem play Anivia well enough to get around what a one-trick Anivia player will know about countering the character? The Trundle ban is interesting as well. Yeah,
so
that's
both the
kinda...
junglers we saw in game 1 are just gone.
Yeah, that does leave Alistar and Kha'Zix open.
Oh,
and now that I say it, we might see the Kha'Zix for Decipher.
I don't like the Kha'Zix first pick. I'd rather see a Lilia instead, but that's just me.
I would rather see an Alistar first pick, to be completely honest. I'm not upset about a Lilia or a variety of different picks that could be picked first. Kha'Zix, we'll see how it goes.
Yep, there's a Lilia. Flex pick once again.
The flex Lilia. Yeah, it's even more of a flex now than we thought before, because we thought it was going to be a top jungle.
Now it can be top jungle or mid.
Top jungle mid. This game, I guess Transact's probably going to play it.
Oh boy, that was a treat to watch, the Lilia mid lane, but now the one-trick Anivia will be able to show its potential. As that Anivia should get locked in. There it is.
I think Rutgers has to answer that now. They have to have an answer. There's no way that you know the Anivia is important to ban, you ban it out game 1, and then you just don't ban it out game 2 without any answer. You know the Anivia is coming, so you have to have something ready for it that you think is a great answer that you will just smash open the game with, because otherwise, why would you leave the Anivia open? That grade is there as well. That's a pretty conventional pick.
So Graves will be the one that locks in. That'll be a little bit of AD damage going over for DePaul. See how they round this composition out. As for Rutgers, they're going to probably look for a response in the mid lane right now. Now would be a very good time to do that. Without
I think it would. I think it really would be a good time to do that.
Counter picks from being taken. Right. So they're gonna go for the Caitlyn for now. Buy a little time to think about their
Caitlyn Morgana or something like that.
They could pull that off.
I wouldn't be too upset about that. It would mean that Anivia's counter picks might be banned out, but Rutgers should have some answer to it regardless.
Oh wow.
Caitlyn Bard.
So Caitlyn Bard will be the...
that's close enough to Caitlyn Morgana. Bard is also does some solid damage, pretty good in lane.
Does provide good setup with the Tempered Fate, especially.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I like that Jhin as an answer to Caitlyn, because Jhin is one of the things range-wise that comes anywhere close to Caitlyn. So you don't want to leave that up, or you don't want to.
Oh, they ban out the Kha'Zix. They're very concerned about the Lilia.
The flex Lilia, the 5-lane flex Lilia. It could go anywhere. You never know. And that's the funniest part of about this Rutgers draft so far, is that honestly Lilia could go top, mid, or jungle right now, and we have no idea what it's going to do.
5 seconds left on the next ban. We'll see what Rutgers will take off the menu. That'll be the Thresh.
That is Thresh.
Going to be gone. Very good ban, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. Thresh is a great jungler, and the Uchi are actually taken off the board as well. They're going all in on the idea that this is not a Lilia jungle.
That is definitely what's happening. We'll see. What does DePaul do? They need a front line, so I wouldn't be surprised if a Shen gets locked in here, or something along the lines of Ornn.
We could just end up seeing the Shen Ornn again, but we could see the support pick. I like Nautilus. I think that's a good support. Yep, there you go.
The next Hooks champion that is available, apart from Blitzcrank or Pyke.
Not as popular as he has been in the past, but I think Nautilus is a very good champion with a lot of upside, and that ultimate will always be good. So I think it's a reasonable enough pick. Might end up doing not very much, but that's what happens when you play support.
1 second. Someone in chat has pointed out that they cannot see the first man on the red side. So let me resize that real quick. So it is a Gnar, but
Jace pick on the
apologies
side
for the
of Rutgers.
Really? Alright, there you go. You might see the client behind it, but that doesn't matter too much. As long as we see all the bans. That is the Gnar ban. Apologies for that overlay error. I guess.
But to get
But
back
the-
into it, that is a Jace mid?
Jace mid in response to the Anivia.
I don't mind it.
I guess.
Okay, so here are my levels of I don't mind it. A, it gives you different damage in jungle and mid. That's Lilia with the AP damage, Jace with the AD damage. I don't mind that. Jace has some pretty solid damage as well, and from long range, I mean, you don't have to be in the Anivia's danger zone in order to do some okay damage as Jace. Set will be picked, which I think is a great pick into the Shen. Not necessarily a great pick, but the Showstopper will do a ton of damage if you pick up the Shen into the rest of the team. I don't think it's the best pickup in the world, but I think this team from DePaul is very complete. There's not a lot that I see missing on this team. The same is somewhat true of Rutgers, although it is just a little bit low on magic damage. Lilia is a good magic damage dealer, but not fantastic, and this team has a lot that could stop Lilia from getting too close in range. But still, we will see how this goes. Rutgers does have a lot of tools again to push this game forward, to win in the late game, to win in the early to mid. They have the Shen now, which gives them a lot of cross-map pressure, which the set doesn't bring.
This is definitely a much stranger composition from game number 1.
Actually,
no. That Lilia top was very that Lilia top. Yeah,
It's
I don't
no
know about
Lilia
that.
mid.
Lilia mid was like.
The only thing that's really a surprise, I think, is the Jace, which I don't mind it simply on the basis that I think a lot of other picks that could go mid get outranged by Anivia, and Jace doesn't necessarily. Is that okay? Hold up.
Oh,
They might be
no,
messing
not
with us
again.
They might be messing with us again. Last game they messed with us, switched around picks at the end.
No.
I think it's a
Oh
joke.
my-
I think they're doing a funny.
No
I think
way.
I think it'll be funny.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
Okay, so to be clear, I don't dislike Shen Jungle. I actually like Shen Jungle a decent amount. I think it's a pretty solid pick. He does decent damage. The taunt is a great gank tool, and the ultimate is always good. Kind of like the old Rek'Sai almost, like the really old only build tank ever Rek'Sai. Kind of performs a little bit similarly to that. So I don't mind the Shen Jungle at all. I really don't want to see Lilia mid. I don't mind Lilia top actually into this matchup. Up against a Set will definitely get outranged by the Lilia, will get outsped by the Lilia. There's not a whole lot that Set can do up against the Lilia, and that is very funny. I think Jace works fairly well into Anivia. I don't want to.
We don't know what's happening.
I don't want to see, because I think Jace is good against Set by himself, but I think Lilia is going to do even worse in this mid lane matchup now. Like, Victor was bad, but I feel like Anivia against such a good Anivia player is going to be even worse. We will wait and see. They're going to do their funny little switch around the champions thing, where all of us have a giggle and see them do that.
Well, either way, we're gonna have to look at these champion compositions as a whole.
Let's start with
DePaul,
because they're not going to change anything. They're not going to pull a funny one on us. I don't dislike what they have here. They have a fairly good, like, I don't see any major weaknesses on this comp, and I see a lot of upside to it. Nautilus has great engage. Set also has pretty solid engage.
Oh, they pulled a funny.
Have great late game damage. Yeah, they pulled a funny on us. All right, they didn't go with a Shen Jungle. This is what I thought. This is what I thought was gonna happen. No funny business, guys. I figured you out.
So back to DePaul.
Yeah. So back on DePaul. I like Graves as a pick into Lilia because Lilia kind of gets up in your face and you just shoot the deer with a shotgun. You just
Oh boy, not this analogy again.
style. and it works fairly well in that sense. Anivia is also pretty good up into Lilia, just because Lilia has to run up close, and you can just have your blizzard snowstorm thing in the area, and then the Lilia will slow down and die probably, and you can even set up your wall.
My concern with Anivia is, I mean, the damage is one thing, but level 6 wave, after level 6, the wave clear is just insane. I'm pretty sure not many champions can match that wave clear. Jace probably will be able to match that wave clear, but that does give Anivia the roam advantage, so Anivia will be able to roam to other lanes before the Jace shows up, since the Jace is probably going to have to catch a minion wave.
That is definitely true.
That's what's concerning for me, for Rem at least. Is he going to be able to clear the wave in time to get those get a matching roam from the Anivia? So we'll see.
I guess my question on the back of that is, can Rem do anything pre-6? Because after 6, the Anivia has the advantage, but pre-6, Jace definitely has a pretty big advantage there.
Does have double the abilities.
And get a big, yeah, he does have double the abilities, exactly. If he can push things out, roam pre-6, and actually get out of lane, maybe this could be a decent opportunity for Rem to get a bit of an advantage in the early game. So that's something to watch out for pre-6. And then post-6, I guess the saving grace on the opposite end of Anivia having the roam advantage is that Shen has Stand United, which is like one of the best globals in the game that will get you anywhere on the map immediately. Well, not immediately, but it gets you anywhere on the map pretty quickly, with a shield on top of it. So there is a lot that Lil Top can bring, even if Rem is caught under tower just a little bit. But yeah, I think this game is going to be very exciting. Again, Rutgers can punch their ticket to the next round of the lower bracket with a win here. And if DePaul loses, they are gone from the tournament. So definitely stay tuned, and we will be back in just a moment. And welcome back to game number 2 of the CSL playoffs best of 3 between DePaul on the red side, DePaul JV on the red side, and Rutgers Varsity on the blue. Again. We're getting into this one.
Yep, we are getting into the game.
Some funny business. We do have a Jace mid for Rutgers, and it looks like DePaul wants to get some funny business of their own.
They're doing their best impression of the Are You Screw?
Transact?
They're doing their best impression of the RU's group, but Rutgers know that way too well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they were spotted by Transact, but I think I think that DePaul thought they were spotted by Transact, so just not even going to try on that one. They definitely had an opportunity there to go for it, I think. I don't think that Transact ever figured anything out, but just going to see the spread. Both junglers going to start on their red sides, just like last game. Actually, it will be a... what's that camp called? Raptor start for Decipher, which makes sense given that Lilia has that great AoE damage.
Yeah, now it's gonna be a very slow start for now. Like, we probably gonna see the same thing that we saw in game number 1, where both teams aren't really doing that much for the first 10 or so minutes, and then after a bit, both these teams just go at it.
It's very possible. Although, as I mentioned in Champ Select, I wouldn't mind seeing Rutgers open it up a little bit earlier. They have the advantages. We didn't mention, they do have the Caitlyn plus ranged bottom lane versus the Jhin melee, which is a bit better, and I kind of want to see a bit of an advantage taken from that. That was some good damage from Calderon in the top lane, but I wouldn't mind seeing Rutgers try to build up some sort of advantage here in this top lane, or in this bottom lane, excuse me.
Ooh, they're trying to get to level 2. Seems like, yep, Rutgers do get to level 2 first. They win that fight, but now, yeah, now it's their turn to hit level 2. We'll see how they're gonna fight this out. Looks like there might not even be a fight at all. But this is what the Rutgers want to do in the bot lane. They want to try to push the wave as fast as possible, try to poke them out, get as much turret play as possible, and get the early game advantage that way.
Yeah, and that's big damage that they've gotten down so far. No more health potions for the bottom lane of DePaul, or for Smurf God in particular, and Smurf God is just going to have to rely on Doran's Blade, which is not the best healing in the world. Ooh,
oh yeah, there's more fighting in the solo lane. Yeah. But meanwhile, while all that was happening, Calderon was able to get a deep ward onto the blue buff of Rutgers. So they do get a little information as of where this Decipher is going to be. Wow. As Limester, he is dangerously low. He's going to have to hook his way out of there. Going to hold on to the flash.
Does hold on to the flash indeed, but now they are under tower. The ignite was burned away, but this will definitely be advantages for Rutgers as the recall has to come out from Limester, some damage comes down.
Transact tried to go for interrupt.
Actually. Yeah, it actually worked. It did get canceled. A lot of health is coming back though. Lovelace is here. They might try for a fight.
Lovelace does, yeah, he does fight Decipher. The flash Q is there. The flash saved from Limester does pay off as they will be able to get first blood. Transact going to use the bar portal, but he's just out of there, and now I am nice guy going to try to buy a little bit of time, but it does not matter.
Yeah, and that's a kill and an assist over to Lovelace already. Not what you want to see if you're Rutgers. Lovelace also is going to pick up the Scuttle. Probably not going to be able to get to the top lane Scuttle faster, but that is a pretty big win for the side of DePaul, who is in a lot of trouble on the bottom side of the map, but instead was actually able to fix a lot of it. Ooh, Rem taking a ton of damage.
Ooh, Rem does take a lot of damage. Lovelace is here, but Decipher is going to be there to save Rem.
Yeah, not awful, but it does probably mean that Rem is going to get any big advantage pre-6, as none has happened already, and both mid laners are almost level 6. That is,
yep, the solo laners are about to hit their level 6 power spikes very soon. So, I'm going to see what will happen. Will Algistair just go for the constant glacial storms and just go for roams? Is that what this Anivia is going to do? We have no clue.
Yeah, and actually already has built up a decent push in this game even before that point, so definitely a good job by Algistair. I mean, there's a reason why Anivia was banned game 1, and it's because Algistair plays so much Anivia. So I am not at all surprised to see Rutgers trying to manage that Anivia or that they're having trouble doing so early on in the game, but we'll see. DePaul's advantage has mellowed out to a little under 1,000 gold. Double buffs went on to Limester, which is just timed out. It wasn't a huge issue down there. Rutgers is getting the push down bottom lane again, but haven't really gone to the heights of that one moment where they almost had Limester dead and where Smurf God was in a ton of trouble. And that's how fast one of these kinds of things can swing. And now...
Oh, Decipher.
Cypher's here, though.
Waiting in the wings. Gonna put down the seed.
Nothing.
Nothing really happens.
Nothing there. Decipher is there on the bottom side, but not even going to go for a dragon or anything. Idusir does have the ultimate now. See the wave push. Not really able to get much there.
Yeah, it didn't really hit the wave too much. So that's that. So right now, the Jace will have the better push. We'll be able to look for some kind of roam if possible.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep our eyes on it. Meanwhile,
yeah, it's just
more trading.
not much happening.
We're trading down here.
Some item components are finished, and the Noon Quiver does get finished for the Graves. The Lucidity Boots also finished for the Lilia.
Yeah, that Noon Quiver's big. Lovelace definitely wants to be playing around the map at this point. Already level 6, already got the Noon Quiver. Has a lot of power here. You just need to see that actually transferred into something. Even still, I mean, Graves is one of those champions where things just kind of happen and you shoot them and you win. And that just happens sometimes. Gonna hover around this bottom side. Rem is pushed up a little far. They might collapse on this.
Yeah, they're definitely going to collapse on this. Rem has nowhere to go. He's just going to get stunned up and taken out.
Yep.
It looks so easy for Lovelace as he gets his second kill.
You're absolutely right, and that was not great by Rem. Didn't even give himself an opportunity to get out of that one, really. Neat trading in the top lane, but that's just how all the trades go.
Well,
yeah, Rem didn't really give himself much of a chance to get out of that one. There was really no way out with that far forward.
Oh, they're going to try to fight this. The Dragon's low. The Smite does connect. The stun onto 2 will also connect as well. The Stand United does get used. Willtop's going to be there. Rem will take down the Limester, and now there's the set TP. The set will go for the slam, but it does not do any damage as Calderon will just go down for free. And that's going to be 2 kills going over the Rutgers.
Yeah, and really, I think that would have been a fine trade if Calderon just didn't TP in. Because for the majority of that play, it was just like, oh, we traded our support for a dragon. That's fine. That's a great enough trade. Like, as you can see here, Smurf God is probably going to be able to cover the bottom side here. And the rest of your team can just clear waves until Limester comes back. You're fine. Like, losing your support for a dragon is great. Dragons are permanent. Your support's life is temporary. But now that you're losing the teleport and another kill onto Calderon as well, now a couple more members of Rutgers are getting gold. The global advantage is heavily in favor of Rutgers right now because Calderon just has nothing to join a fight with. If something else breaks out on the bottom side that is a lot more consequential, it'll probably be a numbers advantage for Rutgers. So keep your eyes out for something like that potentially happening in the near future.
Yep, the Herald does get picked up for Rutgers. We'll see how they're going to use this advantage. Looks like Decipher is going to move towards the top lane, try to get a pick onto Calderon. He doesn't have the slam, so there's not going to be much damage for him. Calderon does have the flash there. He's going to use it, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save him, as the flash from Willtop will be there to secure the kill, but Lovelace going to arrive, but a little too late.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of those cooldowns were necessary from either team to make sure they could lock that one up, but flash for flash with one ultimate used, not necessarily a huge deal either way. And smart on Rutgers getting another kill up in the top lane. Lil Top is now 2-0-1, kind of strong. Might get that Frozen Fist kind of early. Should be a reasonably big deal.
Alright, Rem going to get the move up for himself. Definitely a good advantage to be at. Oh, what a flash. But the flash hook from Limester is not going to do anything, and now the Jin just going to get stunned up and taking out the Ignite will be able to secure the kill. And that was quite unfortunate from Limester.
Yep, that was a mistake. that was just honestly a mistake from DePaul. Like, even when it looks like Transact might be on his own, you can't really make a play like that because it's always possible that the Bard will be waiting in the wings, and also just a trap is there. Like, they just got stopped by the trap. There was no way that kill was going to go through. You just have to accept
Rem
that
is in quite a bit of trouble here.
Ooh.
And he gets killed. Wow, I did not expect that damage to come through, but just there, being the Anivia one-trick, knows his damage and was able to secure that kill.
Yep, that Anivia damage is humongous. And
takes the blue buff for himself. That's even worse.
There we go, Anivia blue buff. That's already a couple plates down as well. This is a big game for Agister so far. We'll see how much more of an advantage can come through.
Oh, nice guy. Gonna get spotted, but does have the portal.
Portal's such a fun ability.
That is true. Now Little Top gonna go for a little trade onto Calderon. Nothing much there. Once again, another, I guess, wet noodle fight. And now Nice Guy gonna find the Limester. The Limester gonna hook away, but does still get tagged. The Willy Ultimate will be used. Will that be enough? Ace in the Hole going to be used as well, and that's going to be a huge amount of damage. The Limester going to hook the deer, tries to get away, but is not able to. Does his best Spider-Man impression, but he just splats himself into the wall.
Nice Guy has 2 kills. I don't think that's a good thing.
That definitely is not what you want to see.
Yeah, but, especially when both of those kills have been pretty close. I think the Decipher definitely should have picked up.
Oh, wait, Decipher gonna chase down Smurf God, maybe? No, they're just gonna get the turret. That Herald should do enough damage to get the first tower for Rutgers, and that'll keep them at a very comfortable gold lead.
Yeah, that is actually really big for Rutgers, getting that extra gold there, having the comfortable gold lead, as you said, and making sure that Transact is able to get ahead in this game. Already about 1,000 gold ahead. That is basically the entire gold lead is Transact. Most of the rest of the map is reasonably even. So, definitely very well done there. Very, very well done. We'll see what they can get on the recall here. Transact might be able to finish the first item. Something I want to mention. Well,
the dragon's gonna get taken. This time without any contest. So that's gonna put them at 2 dragons. It's gonna be the Ocean Rift this time around. So.
And that's big. That's something we're definitely have to contest going forward, because you can't really allow DePaul to get to Soul Point on 3 dragons so easily. I think it has to be something that gets contested in the future. And something else I wanted to mention is the itemization from Lovelace. I actually really don't like the Immortal Shield Bow compared to the Gale Force on
the
Graves, mostly because Graves is such a low-range champion, where if you don't have that extra second dash, then you're probably not going to be able to get in range of anything, where the defensive itemization is going to feel fine. It'll maybe make you survive a fight, but you're not going to get any damage off because the other team is just longer range than you, especially when you're up against a Caitlyn and a Bard and even a Jace. You want to get up in their face, not kited away, or even like a Lilia for that matter, getting kited. But you just can't be getting kited away, because you will take more damage in the long run if you have not killed them.
By jumping. Want to look for a pick onto Smurf God. There's the Temper Fate. The Gale Force will be able to get himself to safety.
See, it's a defensive option as well. You can see there, like, if you're getting caught out by something, you just Gale Force out, and that's why it's such a good item. Because you can Gale Force forward, and you can Gale Force away, and it is always good. Where a Shield Bow, it's a defensive option, it helps you survive longer, but it's not as fun.
Yep, I'm Nice Guy, gonna take a little bit of damage, but does have the portal. And now the Herald is going to be the main focus for both these teams. Lovelace already starting to take down this Herald. It looks like Rutgers aren't committing too much onto that top side of the map. But we'll see. As Decipher, what's he gonna do here? He's gonna instead look for the pick onto the Aegis there. The Anivia one trick in over the trouble. Can he 2v1? The sleep will connect. The stun connects as well. Lots of damage going on to Decipher, but the ace in the hole will be able to take down the Anivia, and Rem will be the one to pick up that kill.
Yep, great pick. Nothing that the other side of DePaul could really do about it. Very good usage of Transact so far to get a little bit of extra damage with the ultimate. Even from so far away, Transact was able to provide a decent chunk of damage, which let them very comfortably take that kill rather than really have to rush on that egg. It was traded for the Rift Herald, but honestly...
they're going to look for something here. Calderon and Lovelace. The taunt only connects into Calderon, but that should be just enough to take them out. Temper Fate going to connect onto Lovelace. Lovelace should be set to fall here. The traps and everything else will connect. The shield belt even going to be used, but the flash forward from Transact will be the one to take that kill. First kill for Transact.
Yeah, and definitely a good play by Rutgers identifying who they could kill. At first they were like, okay, we've got all our damage onto Calderon, get Calderon, get Calderon. And then as soon as the Tempered Fate dropped, they said, okay, the one who we need to kill is the one who's still under this Tempered Fate. And so they killed Lovelace as fast as possible. And they were actually able to burn a ton of cooldowns from both of those champions.
Ooh.
And able to get a kill and able to get a tower. So much value out of that play.
Nice guy. Putting the juke shoes on.
And now you can see, looking at the scoreboard, it's starting to look a little bit like last game where Rutgers was a little bit in shaky spots early on, but then they find a couple of good fights, they see they're winning around the map, they're moving their ADC into the mid lane and finding a lot of value out of that, and Transact is starting to get a little bit ahead, so, I mean, if I'm DePaul, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. You really have to be prioritizing that next Ocean Drake to make sure that you're not getting... like absolutely
Transact gonna find a pick onto Smurf God. Smurf God gonna have to flash, but flash from Goldtop really wasn't that necessary, but does secure the kill anyway.
And that's the same thing that happened last game. Transact just finds someone in the mid lane and kills them because Transact's really strong and Transact's getting stronger and stronger. Like, double buffs over. Oh man, this is scary if you're DePaul because Transact's gonna recall, get some nice items, and they're gonna fight for Ocean Dragon. And oh wow, that's actually a full Phantom Dancer on that recall. That was huge.
Yeah, that is definitely huge. As a
I'll have to find something here because, I mean, they won't necessarily be fighting 4v5, but you don't want to be fighting for Ocean Dragon at this point. You really want to be securing the Ocean Dragon cleanly because if they can do that, they're still in this game.
So
if they can't do it,
they're gonna use his Herald to try to I
That's
guess
a good
split up
play.
Rutgers from taking this dragon, but it looks like Rutgers just they really want this dragon. They don't want DePaul to get soul point, and now Lovelace is gonna get slept on. He's gonna have to kite away as fast as possible. The curtain call gonna be used as well. Temper Fate onto 2. Calderon, he's just gonna get rooted up, but the Jin shuts down the Bard. Wiltop now in a lot of trouble. The slows arc way too much, and the Deadly Flourish will be able to finish off Wiltop there. And now the Dragon, 5-man strong. Rutgers, will they go for the contest or will they just concede? It looks like they will just concede it.
That's a rough one, and in that fight, Rutgers really just was not finding the combos. Decipher got a decent ultimate off, but Lovelace was far enough away where nothing happened off the back of it. The Tempered Fate as well, it landed onto 2 members. That probably should have been at least 1 kill, but Rutgers is just not in the right position for it. It was a good TP from Calderon, to be honest, in order to kind of just get in the middle of everyone, so that there were just nothing that Rutgers could really do to make sure that they were not getting hit by everyone. But now this is a bit of an awkward spot for both of these teams. Rutgers with a gold lead with that huge Caitlyn, but on the other side you're looking at a decent scaling comp from DePaul as well as almost an Ocean Soul, and that Ocean Soul will neutralize so much if they can pick it up. So Rutgers will really have to worry about these dragons in the near future and make sure that they're not losing out on any of that. Because as the game goes on, that Ocean Soul is still going to be always important.
Oh, Rem gonna get jumped on. Calderon doing a bit of initial damage. Rem doesn't really want to do much.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the Jace has not impressed me a ton so far. Maybe we'll see something different when we see the Manamune completed into the Maramana. Maybe something magical will occur, but to be completely honest, I just have not been incredibly impressed. That last fight
Uh-oh,
just...
Calderan. Gonna find a pick onto Rem probably, but Rem does have enough Omnivamp to keep himself up and going. But if you look at the map, there's 2 members of DPU coming in.
Yep. I think he'll be able to get out. He's fast enough.
Oh, wait, we'll see. We'll see if he has two shoes on. Oh, he's able to,
Oh, they don't see him.
Oh!
Oh!
Oh my god, Smurf God.
So much damage! I didn't expect that to come out. Oh my goodness. I was not even with the
He goes
collector.
wide on
Nice.
3 of them and lands the final one. That was very impressive coming
Yeah.
out of Smurf God.
Yeah, and I think that it was mostly because Rem walked just back into range of that blue
Farsight,
ward.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're going to try to look for something here. I'm Nice Guy going to pop the Shirelias. That's a lot of damage going on to both members of the bot lane. Smurf God, are you not going to block that?
On the
Oh, well,
AC.
either way, there's going to be a pick onto Lovelace here, and that's just a... That is literally a go button on this Baron, just like that.
Yep, perfectly positioned. Absolutely knew what they had to do. Great job by Rutgers identifying what they had there.
Do they burn this down in time? I'm Nice Guy. He's gonna
Here.
set up a
The
portal.
question is whether anything
Oh,
happens
Calderan,
from it.
he finds Transact. He's gonna get shut down. The Baron is gonna be the one that finishes him off. Wiltop needs to find something onto Smurfgod. Smurfgod, he's gonna be taken down. Rem does end up respawning into the team fight. Ajus are gonna have to Titanias, but it's not gonna save him, as 4 members of Rutgers will be able to crack down this egg. They're gonna make some breakfast here tonight.
Yep, but without the Kraken Slayer, Caitlyn, I don't know that they'll be able to find.
Oh wait,
the
Calderan,
track.
his back gets cancelled. I don't think he has a way out of here. The stun still connects the portal as well. And Calderan going to sacrifice the double S over to Rem.
Yep.
But on the bright side, DPU do end up stopping the Baron. So I guess that's one thing going for them. But now Decipher, oh, this is, if Decipher goes down here, this is going to be very bad. Collateral damage not available just yet for...
He's fast. He's
for,
fast here.
Oh,
he's
the hook
moving.
doesn't connect. The sleep going to be used to disengage.
He's
And it was like
moving.
collateral damage just comes off cooldown.
Oh no, not moving fast enough. That's a close one, and that is not going to be too horrible for Rutgers. It does look like there are a bunch of pings right for the Baron, which is surprising. I don't think that they can take Baron 4v5.
Rutgers is very split up right now. 2 members in the bot lane. Rem is all the way down the bot lane. Does have teleport if he needs to
Rem
use it.
Yeah, I think everyone else is there, and they're just going on it. That's
Yeah, they're gonna
surprising.
go for this time. Rem, immediate teleport. They're gonna try to
Yeah,
stop
right.
this Baron. Can they do it? Wiltop up in the top. He's gonna be there to find some sort of collapse, and a lot of low health bars already coming out of 2 members of DPU, and it looks like Rutgers will be able to stop this Baron. And now the Limester and I'm Nice Guy, they're going to take down 2. They're going to take down all 3 that were hiding in that bush, and now the tables have turned. And now Rutgers, it's their turn on the Baron now.
Yeah, I think that was a horrible decision from DePaul. They had a decent enough fight. Like, they knew that they could fight sometimes if they had the right positioning.
But here's
on
the
something.
problem.
They had plenty of time.
But here's the problem. Ocean Dragon is up. Rutgers,
And
they're going to send 3 members down.
They
They're gonna
only need 2 members to take Baron, so they can send 3
Oh, wait,
members.
oh,
down.
that.
They can
Oh,
take
wait a
this,
minute.
they
This is
can
bad.
take
This is bad.
They
This is
can
really
take
bad. Can they take this? No way. There's a steal. That's really good from Transact. We'll be able to burst down the Baron and the Dragon at the same time. This is just really good macro coming out of Rutgers.
Yeah, that they definitely knew that they could take that in time, and yeah, that was I honestly think that it was just a bad play from DePaul. They could have set up around the Ocean Dragon and said, this is our win condition. Baron was not necessarily as guaranteed of a win condition, and there were 4 members of Rutgers alive. They were bound to know what you were doing fairly quickly, and a 4v5 doesn't benefit you greatly. They already had you surrounded. You had nowhere to go. The poke from Jace is fantastic, as we saw. You just take a ton of damage. They might not have just understood the damage Jace can do to squishy members. They'll definitely know it from now on, but I don't know if they'll have a chance to make use of that knowledge at this point, given how the rest of that play turned out, losing.
Oh, Transact, he's just going to go in on the Smurf God. Smurf God. Oh, no. The Locket not even going to save him.
What a play.
Transact coming up huge in this series.
Again!
He's coming up huge in the series, like I said. Now, Lovelace going to try to find something here. The Temper Fate, I think, connected onto Lovelace, and that's going to be stunned up. There should be a huge amount of damage, but look at the damage coming out of Aegis there. He's going to be able to secure the kill, but up in the top lane, Rem does win the 1v1. Decipher going to get Sonya'd up for the Shen to arrive, and that's going to be a double kill. Going over to Transact. Ace in the hole, not going to get a third. But it does not matter, as he's the only one remaining, and Rutgers, they're just going to go at it onto the base of DPU.
I don't think they can end off this, but it will be a huge advantage Rutgers will break open. I think they might get multiple inhibitors. They might get 3 inhibitors off this if they play it perfectly.
Rem is just strong right now.
Rem is
I'll
very
just say
strong.
that right now.
Like,
3 items.
Rem does a lot of damage.
Yeah, 3 items. Finish the Manamune. And that's just going to be 2 inhibs going down. The third one going to fall right now. And this is looking very, very bad for DPU.
Yeah, DePaul really had they had a win condition. They knew where they were going for a while, and then again, Rutgers just plays them around the map a couple of times. DePaul makes one big mistake on the Baron, and that Baron breaks open their entire base. And now at nearly a 10k gold deficit, Caitlyn very strong against them. Like, Caitlyn has gone from the mid-game power trough to late-game super strong AD carry point. And for some reason, Transact is just not recalled. Maybe trying to find enough for an item of some sort, some specific item. But yeah, Rutgers is just trying to set up for that final push. They know that DePaul is going to get pushed into their base for a while because of the whole triple inhib thing. And triple inhib is at the same time is so difficult to play against because you have exactly 5 minutes that you have to be covering double waves of super minions. Like, if it's staggered where, like, when one has like 1 minute left, you kill another one, then it feels a little bit better because all you have to do is cover it for a minute, and then it gets a little bit easier after that, and maybe you can slowly make your way out of your base. But right now, they have exactly 5 minutes where they can't do anything. It's awful. It's an awful time, and that 5 minutes is going to be while Dragon comes up. It'll be when the next Baron comes up, and that next Baron is probably going to be a game ender if DePaul has to deal with that. And Rutgers has Rem plus Lil Top. Rem is
I'll be honest with you. They can probably just start a fight and just end it right here, right now. But Rem, he's going to get stunned up. The redemption, will it come in clutch? Yes, it will, but it might still mean Rem doesn't go down, actually. He's going to stay alive. The curtain call. Will it be able to finish off the kill into Rem? The answer will be no. Decipher is going to have to done this. He's going to keep himself alive. Good block coming out of Lil Top. And now the rest of DPU, they need to run for the hills. They're so low that Sleep even going to connect. And this looks like the end of DPU as the Nexus towers will fall. The last one going to go down. The Nexus will be exposed now. Lovelace going for a last-ditch effort. Does not find anyone. Willtop going to find a taunt, but the Nexus is the main focus. And the rest of DPU, they're going to fall one by one. Double kill for Rem, and the Nexus is just going to get hammered down by the super minions as Rutgers, they will keep their hopes and dreams alive as they move on to the next round.
Yep. GG's to DePaul for a good CSL season, but Rutgers gets it done. And that's another great performance by Transact. Another game where he does pretty well in the early game, finds some advantages in the mid game, and then just gets gigantic to end off the game. This one was a bit slower than the last one. Still sub 30, but just a bit slower.
Just a little bit. But they get the job done. That's the big one.
And that's the big thing. They got the job done. Rem was doing a ton of damage by the end of the game, was really able to push down the side lanes. I mean, that was one of the scary things, is that if you left Rem alone for a couple of seconds, he probably was going to end the game.
I know we were concerned about the Jace pick into Renivia. Has that opinion changed anything after this game?
I mean, in lane, as a counter pick, it was not fantastic, but as a whole, I think the Jace worked well throughout this composition, and as a response to a lot of squishies for the side of DePaul, it was pretty good. Like, we saw Jace definitely get its moment in the spotlight. I don't think that Rutgers would have won this game in this fashion without the Jace pick. They might have won the game. They might have played similarly and lost. They might have done a number of different things. But because they had the Jace pick, they were able to open up that Baron fight in the 4v5, where clearly they were not prepared to get poked out from that kind of range, which very few champions can do other than Jace. So...
Yeah, and we were a little bit concerned about what he was going to do in terms of the mid game at least.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was concerned about Rem getting pushed into lane. They're just going to start roaming everywhere.
And that didn't really get done.
It didn't really happen.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that might have just been because as good that Anivia is at pushing the lane, Anivia doesn't have a ton of movement speed, doesn't have a ton of movement abilities.
That is
not
true.
Much global pressure. Like, you would have to take the long walk all the way down to another lane, and they just didn't have a lot set up. Like, the other lanes also were just not set up for much of anything. And part of that was just fantastic map play from Rutgers that got them ahead at every single turn, which I think has to be underscored at every point, is that I think Rutgers' map play was really what drove the victory here. But yeah,
Well, yeah.
GG's going on to the next round.
GG to DPU. I will show the bracket that Rutgers Varsity is in at the moment. There, you can see it on the screen. Rutgers University Varsity. Anyway, they do get their win onto DePaul. They will move on to the next round. They will either go up against, I cannot see it very well. There is the IIT Scarlet Hawks or the UW Warriors Team C. One of these teams will be going up against Rutgers Varsity next week, I believe, for the next round.
I think you're right. Yeah, you're right.
And while we're at the subject of brackets, we can take a look at the JV side. They are also down in the lower bracket, unfortunately, but they are making their run as they did take a win onto a USC Varsity, and now they will either go against RPI Team Bravo again, I believe. I think this is the same RPI that they went against a while back.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so I think it'll either be a matchup against Big Duke Energy. I believe that would probably be Duke University.
I'm guessing it's Duke.
I'm gonna assume it's Duke, or it's gonna be a rematch against RPI. So stay tuned for any announcements in the Discord. While we're at the topic of Discord as well, we do have a Discord server where you can get all the updates of our competitive teams and just India Rutgers League of Legends Club in general. So if you're not in there, make sure you get in there, look at those announcements, and see when the next time we will be casting these games. And with that, any other closing thoughts for you, Dennis?
I don't think so.
Well, that's going to be us for tonight. And make sure, once again, to stay tuned for next week, as we'll see if Rutgers will be able to keep their Cinderella dream run in the lower bracket. Well, that was a good one. Alright, so everything is good, so just gonna play a little bit of music before I go. Other than that, we're good. Thank you.